That's not right. I don't care if you're famous. I don't care if you just won the Oscar. You can't assault people. What you did is ridiculous. The way you're behaving is crazy. It didn't even make sense. It wasn't even proportionate to what he said. It wasn't like you overreacted in such a strange way. I have to wonder, are you okay? Like, what the is wrong with you?
Joe Rogan just smacked Will Smith back. Okay, we all know about the Oscars moment where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. It all went down after Chris Rock made a joke about Will's wife Jada being bald. And the aftermath of the whole incident has been chaos. We all know Hollywood loves their gossip, and celebrities will joke about each other when things kind of hit the fan. Will Smith, of course, has been the latest target of all the talk. It's safe to say that Will must be regretting his impulsive move, especially with all the apology videos and being banned from the Academy Awards for 10 years. Now, he's facing being the butt of many jokes among his celebrity peers. And this time, Joe Rogan took a jab at Will Smith for the Oscar slap. But before we get into it, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to never miss out on any new videos. It's free and helps us tremendously bring out new content for your enjoyment. Now, we don't know the full story behind the altercation, but rumor has it the tensions were already high between the two comedians. Maybe it was a disagreement over a joke, or perhaps Will just had a bad case of Oscar fever. Whatever the reason, things got out of hand real quick. And let's not forget that this all went down in front of a room filled with Hollywood's elite. Like, you can imagine the gasps and murmurs that must have gone around the room. Some people might even argue that Will's behavior was even more shocking than some of the acceptance speeches that night. The slap got people talking, and that includes the infamous Joe Rogan. Comedian and podcast host Joe Rogan is known for being controversial and speaking his mind. Joe has made some pretty scandalous comments about Will's infamous slap to Chris Rock at the Oscars. During one of his episodes, Rogan didn't hold back and called out Will for his over-the-top reaction. Back when the slap actually happened, Joe claimed that Will Smith's behavior was a terrible precedent for comedy clubs. Rogan went on to say that Will's behavior was ridiculous and that he should have just laughed the whole thing off. But that's not all. In a recent episode of his popular podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan dove into the incident and shared his unfiltered thoughts on the matter.
That's doing his job.
Rogan exclaimed, going on to explain that at an event like the Oscars, where stars are seated in the front row, there's bound to be some roasting and joking going around. And that's exactly what Rock was hired to do. But apparently, Smith couldn't handle the heat. According to Rogan,
and what he did was not even insulting.
It's not about...
It was a mild joke. He was emotionally fragile, and he acted on impulse in a staggeringly stupid way.
I mean, we've seen it time and time again where hosts say cringeworthy or bad jokes at the Oscars. Remember Anne Hathaway and James Franco hosting? And Anne's cringeworthy quote,
"And it's been a great year for lesbians."
That's right.
Not just in general, but in movies.
Or when Steve Martin quipped at Christoph Waltz after his performance in Inglourious Basterds.
In Inglourious Basterds, Christoph Waltz played a Nazi obsessed with finding Jews. Well, Christoph, the motherlode.
Like, both of them were pretty bad, come on. But no one stood up and slapped someone for those jokes. I mean, to have Hollywood heavyweight like Will Smith get up and slap another celebrity in public, that was pure scandal. And Joe Rogan's still not holding back over the drama. He went on to say,
yeah, but here's what happened right afterwards. He won the Academy Award and then goes up and does a speech. The whole thing was so bizarre, and it made me think, like, how many other human beings could be in a similar situation and pull that off?
Rogan, who discussed the incident on his podcast, called out the Academy Awards for letting such behavior slide.
It was a rare instance where someone is so enormously famous and successful like Will Smith that they literally still allowed him to not just win the Academy Award, but also go up and accept it and give a speech after he assaulted a small comedian.
Yeah, they should have ejected him.
MMA fighter Josh Barnett, who was also a guest on the show, chimed in with his 2 cents, saying that they should have kicked him out right then and there. No way someone like that should be rewarded with an Oscar after pulling a stunt like that, adding they should have ejected him. Rogan went on to express his concern that...
First of all, it sets a terrible precedent.
Yes.
in so many different ways. It sets a terrible precedent for comedy clubs.
Yes.
Like, are people going to decide that they're going to go on stage and smack the comedian now? You can't just go smack a man in the face in front of the world and then go about business as usual.
Then Joe dropped a comparison that was truly keg-worthy. He said,
everybody's just going to sit there in the that you just took on the table. You just pulled your pants down and took a on the dinner table, and they all have to just sit there and look at that. That's what it's like.
I mean, it is a good comparison. This kind of does feel like a nasty smell that just won't go away, right? Joe went on to discuss Chris Rock's new comedy special, Selective Outrage, as well. He weighed in on the special during an episode of his podcast with fellow comedian Bert Kreischer. Rogan likened the incident.
You know, in life, you play chess. You move pieces around. You say, I do this, and the counter would be that. And
He went on to say that Chris, taking his sweet time to make a move, is exactly what expert chess players do. According to Rogan, Rock's comedy chops were so great that he tore Smith apart with his wit and humor, even though the joke he made about Smith's wife was relatively mild. He went on to explain that Smith, who he described as very vulnerable, made a foolish decision to slap Chris Rock, one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time, adding that Will probably would have never imagined that Chris's next move would be to tear him apart with some of the most hilarious, horrible comments about his life. Joe said,
imagine the thought, like, I'm just going to slap Chris Rock, one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time. It's not like he's going to tear my very vulnerable life apart after I smack him with some of the best comedy that anybody's ever written, and he's going to hone it over a year before he releases it.
Yeah.
Like, what a terrible, unprovoked attack. What a dumb thing to do.
But some people feel like Rogan should have defended Will and spoke out against Rock's comments rather than endorsing them. Will Smith could very well be one of those people, feeling that it's a betrayal of their friendship. Some believe this is Joe picking a side and that Smith could be taking this as an attack of his own character. Obviously, the incident continues to spark lots of debate in the entertainment industry, and we've seen people draw the line in the sand and choose a side. But just recently, a moment at Coachella is changing some people's views of Smith and his family. A clip of Will Smith has gone viral of him proudly cheering on his kids during their Coachella performance, and it's got some people warming back up to the Hollywood star. I mean, it's hard to not get a little emotional watching a dad cheer on his kids, right? And we do remember all the times that we did cheer Will on, so it's almost full circle to watch him cheer on his own family. But drop us a comment and let us know your thoughts on the whole drama. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with my weekly updates on the latest celebrity secrets and scandals. Be the first to know what's happening in the world of your favorite stars.